What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode number 3, Living Room Fight Club. Main man with me here today is Dave. How are you feeling today?
Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Exciting for this episode.
Absolutely. We're going to go straight off of it. Mr. Derrick Lewis.
Yeah. Well, interesting character, isn't he? Like he's gone through a lot in his life. I think obviously where he started. Obviously the boy's been in prison. You know, he was fighting in prison as well. He struggled through his whole life. I think a lot of people wrote him off as well. Before, when obviously he's gone to jail and things like that, people were thinking, "Oh, he's never going to come back. He's never going to bounce back from it." But actually, to be fair, he's got a nice little career out of everything, doesn't he? Don't you think?
Yeah, he's pieced it up well to come from the background where he's had a rough upbringing, in a rough neighborhood. You know, like you say, in and out of prison, fighting. You know, to come from like that, from a situation like that, and turn yourself into one of the top heavyweights in the world. You know, it's fantastic. He's put so much hard work and dedication into changing his life for the better. And, you know, look at the fruits of his labour. He was one of the best heavyweights at the time. He fought for the belt multiple times. He's fought the best guys in the division. It's absolutely phenomenal where he's from where he's come from.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like the man, he showed quite a bit of charisma, like a lot of motivation. Like you can always bounce back from like your lowest part in life, right? There's never the end. Like there is always a light at the end of the tunnel. And yeah, like just going back to him in general, like there was back in when he was in high school, he did have a bit of obviously an issue, something to do with a clan for a known gang of white individuals. Let me say that. I'm not going to go into more detail. He was holding a shotgun, and then Lewis just went on beating him up, leaving him. So he does have a bit of a temperament, but I think for the right reasons, right?
Yeah, I would agree. Most fighters can control it, but yeah, to my knowledge, he's usually calm, cool, collected. You know, you'll see the occasional push and a shove during a face-off, but it's all in the art of selling the fight. From what we've seen in his interviews, absolutely lovely guy, very, very down to earth. Yeah,
definitely. And him obviously going to prison, like he done 3.5 years in prison, which is like, whew, it could be a lot of time. Like again, like it can write a whole player off. You know what I mean? Like it's horrible. It's either you're able to, like he did, bounce back, or you literally like continue on going down that dark path, aren't you?
Yeah. It's once you're on that track, it's such a hard one to get off, and a lot of places within prison and stuff, they do not help you when you're in there, and they do not help you when you're out. You know, so he has really built himself from the ground up.
Yeah, no, definitely. Isn't true that he has got some sort of what is his heavyweight? So he's UFC obviously heavyweight in history, but what is he for? What has he achieved in the UFC history? Like the only fighter. Oh, I'm trying to think now. Oh, what was it?
I know to my knowledge, I believe he's got the most knockouts in UFC heavyweight history.
There you go. That's that. Yeah. And you do know that George Foreman was actually the one who trained him.
Oh, I didn't know that, to be honest.
Oh, there you go.
A little fun fact there.
Yeah, for all you listeners out there, he was actually trained by George Foreman, the grill man.
George Foreman. Fair play to that.
Well, George Foreman himself is quite a good boxer, isn't he, from back in the day?
I would say so.
Yeah. Just with regards to Lewis's age, right? Lewis is now 37, right?
Yeah.
We've seen him online quite recently, actually. Try to bounce back. He lost quite a bit of weight as well, which is, again, it's amazing to see that. Again, he's got the motivation at that sort of age to get himself in a better shape, which is absolutely fantastic. Do you think, right, at the age of 37 that he's currently in now, is there a chance for him, like, to continue on the path of being a successful UFC fighter?
Yes, In most cases, I would say yes. He is one of the exceptions, I believe, because of his age. Obviously, plays a factor, but power is the last thing to go. You'll keep that for the longest time during your career, and he's as you know, he's packing a whole lot of it. So
Absolutely,
I think he's always going to have a chance in any single fight he ever has. He's always going to have a chance of being able to knock that person out because he has the ability to knock anybody out on the planet. So in terms of that, I think he can win any fight he is put in.
Yeah.
However, he's got a tough matchup ahead of him next. And I think if it doesn't go his way, I think it will be hard for him to bounce back after 3 straight losses. Granted, they are against very, very good guys, but like you said, age plays a factor, and I think with the losing streak it would be and his age, I think you'd probably see 1 or 2 more fights out of him.
Yeah, I do kind of agree with that. 37. Well, for some fighters, is the age where. So, for example, let's just compare it to another sport. So, for example, in football, when you're let's say a midfielder or a striker, if you're 37, there's not much there for you. Like you can go to one of those leagues where they love you and they'll just pass the ball to you and you're scoring goals. It's a bit different. UFC is more of a more of a physical challenge, isn't it, for the body, for the person, for stamina, for everything, right? And I think 37 is he can go to 40, mate. Like if if he can, then I'm sure he definitely will. But yeah, it's kind of like this like dangerous like age now. Like it's 37, right? Yeah, like it can only go either one way or the other. Either he's going to be again after the losses and things like that. He might bounce back. It depends. Again, motivation. What is his motivation? Like, is he there just to like break a couple of draws, make something out of it, or continue? What is his long term goal? We don't know, do we?
Yeah, that's it. We're not too sure at this point in time. If when he next fights Spivak, sorry, when he next fights Spivak, if he gets the W, I'm sure he'll let us know what he's thinking. But you are right. I don't think there is too much left for him. To be honest with you, I don't think there's a lot going. He's lost to all of the top guys, so it's a tough call from where he goes at the minute. It depends on this fight, but personally, I don't think there's too much left in him. But you are right. Within different sports, 37 is usually the age where you have probably already retired, if not.
Yeah, no, I agree. And the fight, like you've mentioned, it's not too far from now. So we're currently at end of January. It's on the 4th of February, right? He's obviously at Apex in Vegas. From the photos, from what I've seen from his preparation and stuff like that, he does look hard. And I mean that. He does look mean. Like, obviously, he is, I think, hoping for a good comeback, right? He's hoping to break a couple of draws, like I said before. But again, with the age, my man, like the stamina, is going to play a big part. Like everything with age just gets worse, isn't it? Like, I hope him all the best. Like, not being funny, like the dude is a proper cool dude. Like, obviously, he did have a tough upbringing, like tough love in the family. No one loved him. You know what I mean? He had to like literally work from a young age, like support himself and things like that. Like, obviously, the prison thing didn't help, but I do hope the guy actually does bounce back and actually has a good couple of fights in him. Like, it will be
of course. Yeah, and the thing is with Lewis is you can never count him out. There has been, a few times in his career with some fights where, it's coming to the end of the fight and it's looking like he's gassed, he's tired, he's out, and he's kind of just, cruising to a decision loss. And then, but that's not the kind of guy he is. He's always in there ready to fight. And even if, he's been getting beaten the whole fight, if there's 10 seconds left, he's going for it. He's going to get that knockout. And there's been occasions where he's been losing the whole fight, getting pieced up, not being able to touch the guy. But the thing is with Lewis, he only needs to touch you once and it's game over. That's exactly what happened in his fight against Volkov. He was getting pieced up, but in the last round, he caught him big and managed to capitalize on it. So, with Derrick Lewis, and to be fair, a lot of the heavyweights, you can never really count them out because of, power being the last thing that goes.
Yeah, 100% agree with you, and that's the thing. He's got the power behind him. Like, literally, he's just killer. Like, he does look like way better to what he did before, and I think he's going to keep that power. And the same. Yeah, I hope he does deliver a good show. You know, I'll look
Mhm.
forward to actually that fight on the fourth of February. That'll be quite good. I'll be watching
Yeah,
that.
it's going to be interesting. You know, Spivak is a great wrestler. You know, which obviously Derrick Lewis can grapple. That's not his strong point. You know, so is he going to be able to stuff the takedowns? We'll have to see, but we know that he can shoot them uppercuts up because he knocked out Curtis Blades on the way for a takedown. So you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
that's not to say he couldn't do that with Spivak also.
yeah. You never know. Like again, a tough fight ahead of him. But again, we we will see. Like the Black Beast, like he's got it. Like, you know, pro MMA record. I'm looking at it right now. He's 26-10-0.
Mhm.
So that's not too bad, really. So he's
Nah, it's
yeah.
not. Like I say, records are a tough thing in heavyweight because everybody possesses insane power at heavyweight. So you know you'll find in heavyweight most people will have a loss on there at some point because you know you're getting clipped from a 265-pound man. You're going to sleep. Do you know what I mean? So you
Yeah,
know
it's gonna be hard to wake up from that, right?
that's it. That's it. So with heavyweights, it's a decent record. And like I say, he has only fought some of the best people in the world. Like if you look at his losses, for example, you've got Sergey Pavlovich. He's relatively new onto the scene, but he is kicking up a massive storm. He lost to Tai Tuivasa, who again, absolutely insane fighter right now, top of the division. He's lost to Cyril Gann. He's now fighting for the belt against John Jones.
Yeah.
You know, Daniel Cormier. He's lost to. He has only lost to the best guys there have ever been.
Yeah, I'm currently looking at like Sergey Pavlovich. Oh my god, what a beast. He's 70
That's a scary guy there, isn't it?
Yeah, and he's only the age of 30, so he again at that age that he's still got a few years behind him under his belt to actually make something out of him. Like,
Yeah. To me, I think this is probably your next contender for the belt. I think he'll win his next fight. I
yeah,
think, well, it depends who his next fight is, but I think he could be a potential champion. I believe he really does mix it up so well. He's got such insane power, but his striking is so crisp and so technical. It's very impressive. And if you look at his record, 7 records in MMA don't really mean much, but heavyweights again, 17-1. That's pretty damn good.
oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. More to come from that guy as well.
Yeah, big time. He's definitely one to look out for. Definitely.
Right. Okay. So let's move on. So the second topic, obviously, of this podcast, we wanted to talk about something recently that was brought to our attention. Mr. McGregor, or Conor McGregor, he possibly will be having another coaching stint. Tough, as we all know, it's
Mm-hmm.
a UFC TV series where obviously you have coaches and you have the proteges, as we say, and then essentially at the end of it the coaches are fighting, but then throughout obviously the series, correct me if I'm wrong, Scotty boy, obviously the coaches train the new guys to obviously to get them ready for fights and stuff.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. Yeah, with the Ultimate Fighter, they will select some fighters. Excuse me. They'll select some fighters. It's usually a mixture of men and women, mixture of weight classes. Sometimes they'll specialize in a certain weight class, or for example, there's a UK versus USA series. So there's so many of them, and yeah, they get the fighters. They make them live in the same house. They will usually have separate like living quarters, but obviously they can mix in and do as they please. As you can imagine, you put 20 odd testosterone filled fighters into one house living on top of each other. It's a recipe for disaster. So that makes some good TV. And at the end of it, you get to see some great fights as well because they all build up some energy and some animosity towards other fighters. So it makes for some great TV, and you get to see them settle the score. And the Ultimate Fighter is such a great season, and especially when you've got people of Conor McGregor's stature and ability to sell. When you throw him in the mix, it's going to create something beautiful. We know this from his previous stint as a coach with Uriah Faber before. Yeah, it's a recipe for a good one, this one.
Yeah, I will add that Tough makes Big Brother and Love Island look like crap. So if anyone wants to watch a bit of drama and a bit of fighting, a bit of good action, definitely something to watch.
Yeah.
It's something that's been going on for absolute ages now, because the first episode, that was, from what I remember, 2005. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
2005, and we're currently on 30 seasons, so it's actually been quite good, to be fair. You know, like a lot of fighters come from there, and like a lot of
Yeah. You've had MMA champ. Yeah, I'm sorry. You've had UFC champions come from there. Michael Bisping, first ever
yeah.
British champ. He came from the Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah, and a lot of other great ones. Like I'm currently looking at right now. You've had Chuck Liddell as well. He was on there. You obviously
Yeah.
got McGregor. Yeah, Stephen Bonner. You had Randy Couture. It's been a quite the cast, to be perfectly honest. Like, for people that we had. Now obviously we've got Conor McGregor for round number 2. Thoughts on that? Really? Do you think like Conor can do it? Can make it better to what he did on the first one, or not?
He'd need the right opponent to make it as good as the last one. With his relationship with Uriah Faber, it was poetic. It was the two lovebirds we didn't know we wanted. The way they would bounce off each other, it was perfect. You know, it's a love-hate relationship. They love each other, but they really don't want to show it. But yeah, he's going to need a good dance partner. I'm going to tell you that. But yeah, to top his last one, it's going to need some good work.
Oh yeah, 100%. And again, I know I keep bringing the age as the issue. I know we spoke about it earlier. Obviously, McGregor is now 35, and he's still awaiting to finalise his UFC return. So that still hasn't been finalised. Actually, I've looked at it online, and nothing actually has happened yet. So obviously, that's still due to happen. Yeah.
Yes.
I feel this is just me. Like, personally, I think he's got still a lot in him. I think it'll be if he was to come back, I think it'll be a great season to watch. Like, with McGregor, what he's been through, like obviously his changes, obviously him just getting absolutely buffed. Even with that, it'll be just great to see him. Like, has he still got it? You know what I mean? Has he not lost it? Right? Because that's the main bit, right? Because we haven't seen McGregor for absolute ages now on the UFC front, right? He hasn't been there. It would be just amazing to see get the old, like I said to you on the other episode we've done. It'd be good to see McGregor on there in the octagon, just literally just like showing his skills, like, and just being there, man. That'll be so cool, wouldn't it?
Yeah, you know, the UFC has, I don't want to say they've moved on, but they've developed in a way now where he isn't the main. It doesn't. Well, he is the main attraction always, but there will be a time where, you know, he won't be forgotten about ever. But the sport will have moved on. We'll have new fighters, but what McGregor brings is greatness. It's you're witnessing a spectacle. No matter who he's fighting, what you're watching is history. Every time he fights, he brings something different.
Yeah, and the thing is with him, like, he does talk smack, right? But then he delivers on it. I know obviously there's been a fight when he hasn't, but I get that. But most of the time when he talks absolute smack, he does deliver straight after, which is the beauty of it. It's just the icing on top of the cake, right, with McGregor.
Yeah, definitely. The problem is with McGregor at the minute, I think, you know, I'm a massive McGregor fan. Everybody knows this, but in my opinion, he's kind of surrounded by yes men. And I think what he needs to do is change up his training, train with some different people. You know, I'm not saying move gyms or anything, but the people around him, I don't believe are pushing him the way he needs to be pushed. I think, you know, he's telling them what he knows best, and they're going, "Oh yeah, absolutely, you know best." You know, that's the way I see things at the moment. I see his training, and I see some flaws. You know, it's a tough thing to see because he has a legendary status, but I think he is surrounded by yes men, and I think he needs to adapt his training a little bit more. I think somebody, I'm not sure who it's going to be, somebody needs to bring out something from inside of him that we have not seen in a long time. And it scares me that we might not ever see it again because he's been there, he's done it, he's made all the money. He made all the money in the UFC. He made all the money fighting Mayweather. You know, it's going to be tough to see if there is somebody left during his time. You know, I don't think he's got too many fights left in him, you know, 1 or 2 maybe. You know, it'll be interesting to see who can bring out that dog in him and, you know, hopefully see the McGregor that we're used to.
Yeah, I agree. Especially like, yeah, A, with his age, and B, like with his workout regime, right? Don't you, like, I think he's going in the wrong direction, right?
Mhm.
So for me, he's just like, again, my opinion, shoot me for it or not, but I think he's going too bulk for what he's aiming to do, right?
By the looks of things, yeah, from what I've seen, I do not know how the hell he's going to get back down to lightweight. If he
Mm,
ever is, he might come back at welterweight. The problem is with that is there's so little matchups that make sense in that weight class. So it's very interesting to see how he's going to come back and cut that weight down. Like you
yeah.
say, how the hell can you get that big and then cut down to lightweight again? That's going to be so tough on him.
Well, yeah, but what is going through his mind to actually get that big? Again, what you actually brought was a good point about his trainers, the yes people, right?
Hmm.
So for him to get where he needs to be to be a successful UFC fighter for the next few rounds, you need people there to not be yes men, right? So they need to be
Yeah,
like even have arguments, tell him don't do it this way because he's just going for size. But what you see from if you compare the two pictures of McGregor before and now,
hmm,
he's put on so much bulk, man. The guy is like nearly like twice the size. He's massive. Like
yeah,
he used to be so lean, so like you could just see the definition of his muscles. Right, there was nothing like no bulkiness to it. You know what I mean? He was like lean. He was quick. He was agile.
yeah.
Right, with
Yeah,
everything
absolutely.
that he's got.
I mean, he used to fight at 145 pounds at featherweight. Cutting that weight, he looked like a skeleton. But it's crazy to think how he actually used to get down to that weight, seeing where he's at now.
Yeah, and the thing is, with him when he was so skinny and stuff, he used to deliver. He was delivering
Yeah,
on fights. He was winning fights, right? Left, right,
yeah,
center. That was
hmm,
his. That was his thing, right? Again, he was lean. He was like very muscular, but he was
yeah,
lean again, which gave him the agility. He was quite quick.
hmm,
Again, now with this, like I don't see it going anywhere. Like he's gonna have to cut massively to get where he needs to be. And again, he needs the people that are not like you said, a
hmm.
yes man. He can't have that because
Nah,
that doesn't help him.
it doesn't. Nah, it helps his ego. Definitely, he's gonna go. That's the thing. What happens is he goes in there feeling prepared because he's been told you're the greatest. You're doing everything perfectly. You know exactly what you need. All this sorts of shit. You get fighters like Khamzat Chimaev, who is an absolute dominant wrestler, and obviously we know McGregor's grappling. It is fantastic, but it's not where it needs to be at top of lightweight. You get people like Kamzat who's calling him saying, come and train with me, and we'll teach you things, but he won't do it because he's he's very loyal. This is the thing. He's so extremely loyal. He wouldn't change it because he feels like he'd be betraying his team, which I do understand. You do need loyalty in MMA, but the thing is, you've also got to progress the game. The game is always changing. MMA does not stand still for anybody, no matter who you are. McGregor is absolutely great. We all know this. The game has changed. You can't just go in there thinking, I'm going to land this left hand every time. It's not going to work every time. The game is always changing. He needs to change something up. I think he needs new training partners. He needs somebody in the training, in the gyms, he needs somebody to fuck him up and he'll go, I'm actually not the shit. And that, I believe, is what will bring the dog out in him. But in my eyes, he's probably going in there, beating up all of his training partners. Boom, he feels like the best in the world. So whilst it's good for his ego, good for his mentality going into the fight, I do feel like he could be ill prepared.
Yeah, with what you just said, it was perfectly what I was thinking to say.
Yeah,
Like, I think again with his ego is just massive, right? Because when you think about it, it's not just Conor McGregor, like the UFC fighter, right? He is the businessman as well. So I
yeah.
think that
He's
is
built
just
an empire, hasn't he? He's built a massive empire.
yes, yeah, and I think that obviously just builds his ego up even more and more and more. Yeah,
Mhm.
but what you said is so key. Like, if he was to get in the ring with someone who would absolutely beat the living shit out of him, and
Yeah,
actually he will then wake up and be like, Holy fuck, I'm not doing something correctly there, right? I've got
yeah.
beaten up. Like you said, the game is changing. Oh, yeah, absolutely, the game is changing. It's evolving. Every single sport that you have seen, it's not the
Mhm.
same what it was 5, 10 years ago, right? You compare
Nah,
it to football, yeah, everything is the game is a lot quicker. There is
yeah.
more like stamina from players that is needed. They need to be more fit, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
the same goes for this. Like there are different fighters who are studying like different fighting techniques. Like they're
Mhm.
working on everything, the punches, the styles, everything. Everything is evolving on the day to day, right? Because now
Yeah, day to day basis.
exactly, and it's like they don't want to look at the same thing over and over again. This is why they're evolving, right? This is why the whole UFC and everything with it is evolving, right? And now Conor coming back, being told the same thing over and over again for years and years and years, that ain't going to help him, is it? Like he's
Nah,
not going to get where he needs to be.
nah, he's not. That's the thing. He needs that somebody to take his game to the next level. You know, I always sound like I'm slating him. I don't. I love the guy. He's done so much for the sport of MMA, but he needs somebody in that training gym who's putting him on his ass, making him think and really pushing him to change it. He's always talking about, I've got so many shots in my arsenal. It's not about how many shots you've got in your arsenal. Bruce Lee has said it, like he said it before. I paraphrase, and I don't know the quote exactly, but something along the lines of, I fear not the man who knows 1,000 kicks, but knows one kick, but has practiced it 1,000 times. That's to me a great saying, and it's very fitting right now because he's talking about, I've got all these shots in my arsenal. You never know which one it's going to be, but that's not how he won his fights. That's not where he was. He was about his movement and setting up that left hand. That's what won him the fights all these years. Whereas now that isn't working so much because people are aware of it. You know, he's saying, I've got all these different options, but to me, it's not the options that's got you the success. It's your setups that's got you the success.
Yeah, I'm going to throw another quote into this pod. This is going to be such a motivational thing right now. It's from one famous Rocky Balboa, and I think obviously with Conor that sort of goes in quite well. It's not about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward, right?
Yeah.
How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. I think that's the mentality that Mr. McGregor needs to apply.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a very, very fitting quote as well. He's had a couple of knocks, and with his last fight at Poirier, breaking his shin, all this jazz. He's had his fair share of setbacks. Obviously, very unfortunately, we've probably all heard he got hit by a car. Yesterday or the day before, I believe it was. Now, that's going to set him back. He's an MMA fighter. They're Formula One cars essentially. They've got to go into that fight perfect, as perfect as they can. Yeah. No one's ever perfect going into a fight, but a knock in the car is going to take you a few minutes to recover. So that's going to be another setback. And like you said, it's about bouncing back and keep going forward. How many times can he get knocked back and still have that drive to compete?
Yeah, I totally agree. He's also dealing with some other shit, to be fair, right now. There has been some new accusations. Allegedly, he attacked and threatened to drown a woman during a boat party on his 34th birthday. So he's currently dealing with that shit as well, mate. So he's got a lot on his plate, to be fair, right now.
Yeah, he's, again, love the guy. He's done a lot for the sport, but he has got a tendency to do some out-of-the-cage crazy shit and, get the police involved. That happens quite often. There's incidents with him jumping over the Bellator cage when one of his friends won a fight and throwing the dolly on the bus that Khabib was on. He's had a few run-ins with the law. That's not too out of character.
Yeah. Well, I can only hope that Mr. McGregor will sort all the issues out and he can come back stronger and better than ever. That's all I'm going to say.
Absolutely. There's, there has the potential to be some fantastic fights for him to come back. Some massive fights that'll get him and the opponents lots of money. Great fights for us fans. Him versus Ferguson, maybe for the Ultimate Fighter. That's the rumours I've been hearing. I think that would be fantastic. I think he could come back and fight Michael Chandler. That would also be fantastic. There's, he's not done by any means. He's always got options. He's Conor McGregor. He will never run out of options no matter what. But, they can't keep letting him lose a fight, wait 2 years, come back, win a fight, title shot. That can only happen so many times. And I think he's probably got that opportunity one more time. And then, to me, I think he's got 2 fights left in him personally. Whether that's lose the next one and then go out on a win, or whether that's win the next one and then hopefully win the next one after that. But I would say he's got 2 more fights.
Yeah, 2 more fights and then retire into the sunset and drink some of his lovely whiskey. I haven't tried any whiskey, to be fair, but I'm gonna have to give it a go.
I've had it. It's actually not bad. But then again, I'm not a whiskey connoisseur, but I did enjoy it, to be fair.
We'll have to give it a try for another podcast episode. Just do a taste testing of Conor McGregor's whiskey, right?
Damn right, on the rocks.
Right, I suppose that is it for tonight's episode. Do you think?
Absolutely, it's been a pleasure.
Absolute pleasure, guys, and we will see you on the next one, or hear you
on the next one. Take care.
Bye bye.